So good morning. Yes, it is totally Sunday morning, despite the fact that I am facing the opposite direction and still getting sunlight in my face. I had a really good lighting guy come in here when we bought the house. Really. Also, yes, I change my shirt often. You'll probably see six or seven of them throughout the day. It's just how I work. I'm a fashion bug. Anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about how Storming Amargosa came about. What is this about? Being the third book in the trilogy, it is about the planet Amargosa, which was originally a colony of Mars. It's an Earth-like world because the stupid gnome dwellers can't grow their own food. One of the richest planets in the compact, and they can't grow their own food. So anyway, um, a con artist manages to convince a species called the Gelt to invade Amargosa, take it over. So that was what the children of Amargosa were dealing with this alien invasion. And make no mistake, the Gelt were the bad guys in this. Not only that, but they were the, yeah. There we go. You get to see me adjust my glasses. They were these were transported criminals. Second wave, I had written 3 novellas between Children of Amargosa and Second Wave. There was also 3 prequel novellas that kind of set the whole series up, plus no marigolds. But those were kind of written after the fact that, hey, what was going on here? What about this planet they mentioned? But the 3 novellas set up a lot of story fodder for Second Wave. You had the aborted Liberation, in which one starship crashed and it made it into the ocean. And the story, Second Wave, there is the 5 kids and a very popular character named Suicide, who is going to be the focus of the next part of this. We'll call it an epic. We'll call it the Suicide arc, even though each of my quote-unquote meddling kids gets a story of their own. But at the time, there's 5 of them. By the end of it, there's 4. It's kind of a breaking of the fellowship thing. The Ban-Ki Moon, which is a starship that crashed in Broken Skies, is the catalyst. The wild card I throw in is Tishla from the novel Tishla, or novella Tishla. It's almost a novel. And she's there to basically kill the Gelt Overlord, whom Davra ends up being a prisoner of. We see one of the meddling kids carried off by these wolf-like beings called lycants. Ellie is gone by the end of it. And I basically have 2 of the remaining people. They leave the planet, and one other one goes underground with some former war criminals from the previous war. And they become, they're going underground to infiltrate this warlord's lair. He doesn't want to be with the resistance. He wants to be the resistance. He wants to basically turn Amargosa into his own little fiefdom. Lucius Cray is the character. So Storming Amargosa, I had to tie all this up, and I didn't know how much I was going to need to tie up. Basically what had to happen was, okay, JT and Duffy are on Hanar with Suicide and Tishla. What are they doing there? And I introduce a new child of Amargosa named Mitsuko. She actually shows up first in Flight Blade, and some of the events overlap. What were the consequences of Davra disobeying orders at the beginning of Second Wave and then being a prisoner for a rather lengthy period of time and bringing back a very valuable prisoner? What are those consequences? And she wants it over with. And then after several drafts and rewrites, I decided also I needed to tie up this whole Lightman thing. What is he all about? And so while everybody else still thinks that he's just basically a weasel that's looking to become the top dog in the compact, he's kind of a low-rent Palpatine. Doesn't have the voice and chewing up the scenery. He just sort of sits there and manipulates events. He's kind of a dick. So I had to kind of do the final reveal, not only on him, but his arch nemesis, who's Germanicus. And what is Germanicus's nature? There's some hint of that in No Marigolds in the Promised Land. I get explicit about it here. They said he is this guy and he is this type of a creature, and Lightman is firmly convinced that he's the end of humanity, which is funny because Lightman leaves a lot bigger trail of blood than the other guy does. So we do that, and then this being an Amargosa novel, well, I killed off the original Loral Overlord before the Children of Amargosa even begins. We don't even see him. We just see his transported criminal army steamrolling over the planet and killing everything in sight. And then we had Loral Umish. We learned that he's really not. He's not going to win Husband of the Year. He gets killed off in second wave. So now we're running out of warrior cast Lorals to run the family. So I get a banker. And it's already really obvious this dude's in over his head and doesn't realize it. He's just basically, okay, I got a bunch of warriors under me and I'm a very angry man, Kill them all, let God sort them out later. Or the gods. They're polytheistic. Most of their religions are. So JT is on the planet learning how to be on Hanar, learning how to be a pilot. He's lusting after Tishla because, he spent 3 weeks chained to her side. Davra is going on a mission. She's been a prisoner of war. She's been a prisoner of her own people. And she's finally like, screw this, I want it over with. So that's the good guy's side. So they're our voice, and then occasionally we take a side trip. What's going on back on Earth? What's kind of machinations? And that's what part of the purpose Lightman serves. And then in the end we get in there. We get in like a flash of a pilot. We see what's going on in the starships in orbit. How did the two admirals end up coming down into a war zone, largely unescorted? Well, one of them was JT's dad, and he thinks JT got blown up in a fusion blast. And, yeah. Now, this started out as a screenplay, which was a fun exercise. It was a badly formatted, fun exercise. But that serves as my first draft. Second draft, I got it into novel form, and it turned out to be too short. So finally, I did 6 rewrites on this, literal rewrites. And finally got this thing bashed into, I think it's about 98,000 words. It was up to 140 at one point. And when Claiborne Press and I thought that we were going to keep the arrangement in place, Jonathan Claiborne comes back to me and goes, "You sure you don't want to split that into 2 books?" I'm like, "No, I don't. It's a trilogy, and it's the end of a trilogy." So, after one of my betas said, "Where the hell are the Marines and the Starship battles?" I had to kind of go back and like put stuff in and yet cut stuff out. So, there you have it. That's how Storming came about. So I think before we move on any further, because this video has gotten kind of long, here's how we're going to do the prizes today. You need to answer 3 questions for me. 1, what is your favorite sci-fi novel? And don't feel compelled to do the classics or who's popular. I mean, if you truly do think your favorite sci-fi novel truly is Foundation or Ender's Game, or you really, really, really think John Scalzi is the Hemingway of sci-fi, by all means, tell me, but make your answer interesting. Secondly, what's the most interesting place you've ever visited? I drove from San Francisco to Cincinnati last year. Flew out to San Fran, met my family who did Route 66, and then my stepson and I drove back across the country, which was gorgeous. Till we got to Kansas. Kansas, you need to install some hills. That is one boring, flat-ass state. Josh A. Scott Moon, sorry about that. And finally, we've all dated. What was your most interesting date? Try not to be too graphic. There's a little bit of swearing in this event. I don't really want to go too sideways. All right, I will see you all in an hour.